go there and shabam. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Houston. We have a problem. It is Wednesday. It is February 16th. It is after dark. And all I have to talk about right off the bat is the fact that the SEC and the DoJ seem to be subpoenaing everybody and seizing computers, and lots of talk about collusion between various investment firms, banks, hedge funds, large institutions for managing the price of securities. Now, we've known this for a long time. If you were watching Astro's show this summer, there's a gentleman that came on and he's like, I can predict the price of any stock within 15 minutes. And he was laying out the code. So if you watch the layer 2 data, you can see like there'll be weird bids and asks at weird numbers, 5,973 on both sides. And then, 199, 199, 201, 201, like all these weird numbers. And it's a trigger for the algorithms to know where the price is going to go and how they're going to push it across. So now I think the SEC is finally taking notice of this coding. And they seized a bunch of computers and communications between these investment funds and banks and everyone else. So hopefully they do something about it. People should be going to prison for this. My fear is that they'll all get like a $40,000 fine and told, don't do that again, and they'll do it again. And that's where we are. Like, how much teeth are in these investigations? Will people go to prison? Will they pay gigantic fines? Or will it just be a cost of doing business? And oh my goodness, turn off my intro. Boom. Ha! I read my glass. Here we go. You'd think that all these hedge funds getting busted and the minutes from the Valentine's Day meeting of the Fed coming out, that stocks would have been hammered today, but everything was green. That was weird. Yeah. Not everything makes sense. Some stuff is just weird, man. So, there we go. Okay. It's after dark. Let's just get to the chat and get to it. And see what you guys have to say. Javi says, glad doing the stream. Well, thank you. Jason Blackwell, Houston, I'm thinking of getting a little more MMTLP. It seems like a very low-risk play. Am I missing something? I think it is a really low-risk play. I mean, if you can get 15 to 20x off of your investment within like 6 weeks, why not, right? You get it for $1.50 and you get maybe $20 out of it. Seems kind of like a no-brainer to me. That's what I'm sitting on. And I'm hoping to use that to buy a bunch more GameStop if I can. Yeah. Okay. And Jason Blackwell, sorry, no second intro today. I remember to turn it off. And B-Ball's asking if it's too late to get on metamaterial MMTLP. No, because they haven't announced anything yet. And the price is still reasonable. What were we at, like $1.70 for metamaterial? Oops, wrong one. Go open that one. It takes forever to log in for everything. Bubble spins. Okay, where are we? MMTLP is at 173. Metamaterials at 195. Metamaterials looks like it's trying to get above $2 again. So those of you who got it at like 135, kudos. Good job. Got a Canadian here. Got Cameron Mirza. Is Victoria's weather similar to Seattle? Yes. Victoria's weather is very similar to Seattle. I've been there for quite a while. My friend Jason Colby is a professor at University of Victoria who wrote an amazing book, which I do not have here. If you want to learn about orca whales, Jason Colby's book, Orca, is phenomenal. I think it was a New York Times bestseller even. So his dad, back in the 60s, worked as someone who captured orcas for aquariums and things like that because it was a job. They didn't know any different. And how killer whales, orcas, went from like these ultra-feared murder machines to being rehabbed and the population's exploding all over the place and being saved thanks to the fact that people kind of got to know orcas. It's pretty awesome. It's a great book. But anyway, he lives in Victoria, and it's a fantastic book. So if you read Orca by Jason Colby, by Dr. Jason Colby, it's a fantastic read. I highly recommend it. But yeah, Victoria rains, and it doesn't snow very often. But it's really pretty there. I mean, there's some really cool buildings. Bouchard Gardens are awesome. What's the name of the hotel? Princess... crap. The big castle hotel right downtown by the museums is really awesome. And the Natural History Museum is really cool too, because it's got a lot of stuff, because it's the capital of British Columbia. It's got the beefeaters who like march around and you try to make fun of them and they don't make a face. But it's awesome. It's an awesome place. Where are we? Mira Mesa's in the house. Well, welcome, Mira Mesa. Prakash Kumar, Houston. How many YouTubers recommending to open credit union account to save our dollar pre and post MOAS if banks go down? Your thoughts? It's not such a bad idea to be in a credit union. I have an account with Wells Fargo, and I'm seriously thinking about getting out of Wells Fargo. I wouldn't want to be in Wells Fargo or Bank of America. I don't. The way the FDIC operates, you're not going to lose any money. What will happen is your bank will get seized by the FDIC, and then another bank will offer way too little to absorb all those accounts and assets. That's what happened with Wachovia, and what's what happened with Washington Mutual during the 08-09 financial crisis. Like I had a car loan with Wachovia, and they got seized by FDIC and sold to Wells Fargo. So my car loan became a Wells Fargo car loan. If you had a Washington Mutual account, which Washington Mutual was the largest savings loan in the world at the time, when they collapsed, Chase came in and bought basically everything for about 1 cent on the dollar. They got $300 billion in assets for like $1 billion. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Less than a cent on a dollar, I think, if that was the price. So then all the Wells Fargo, all the Chase, all the Washington Mutual banks became Chase banks, and so on. You're not going to lose your money, but the credit unions do not operate at profit. If you are a member, you are an owner. You get better deals for things. You probably get better interest rates on your savings accounts. It's probably just better overall to be a member of a credit union than it is to be a member of a giant bank that charges you horrible fees all the time. Not such a bad idea. Willy Wonka, about more MMTLP. I hope you talk about MMTLP. I think they're getting close to announcing the switch over to Oil Co. And everyone's starting to like vibrate with anticipation right now. B-Ball 3710. I farm in Iowa. What's something interesting about interesting geology-wise about the Midwest Plains? Well, the Midwest Plains were sort of a shallow sea and estuary area during the age of the dinosaurs. So there's lots of dinosaur bones out there. In Iowa Plains, you should be able to find some really cool stuff in ash falls from Yellowstone. Probably skulls of saber-toothed tigers and mammoths and other creatures that were alive during the last cataclysmic eruption of Yellowstone. Probably prehistoric horses. And sorry, my shirt collar is acting weird and it's bothering me. Prehistoric horses and other cool things like that. Other than that, Iowa, there's salt. I think there's some salt mines in Iowa. There you go. There's your Iowa geology lesson. That's all I know about Iowa. Super Steve, U.S. government and stock market are one big Ponzi scheme. Can the MOAS be delayed indefinitely because new FTDs are forever generated? I mean, had retail never caught on, had this whole GameStop thing and Keith Gill and those folks never jumped on board and created a big Hufflepuff last January, then they could have kept doing this forever. But now that retail knows, they can't get away with it anymore. That time is coming to a close, and and there's powerful people on our side nudging and elbowing regulators, being like, hey, look at this, fix it. And I think the regulators are going to have to fix it at some point. And it's not sustainable. Ponzi schemes are never sustainable. People, they run out of folks to take money from eventually, and everything goes as a result. I mean, just like we're talking last show, Amazon, towns where Amazon warehouses are, have treated their employees so poorly and gotten rid of so many of them that they're running out of people they can hire. So that, like, the Ponzi scheme of treating your employees like shit is now running out of new employees. So, like, oops, I guess we probably should have treated our employees better. Oh, crap. And so, there are finite resources for things, and if you exploit those resources too much, you run out. And that's where we are. So I think they hope they can make it last forever, but I don't think they can. Most of the guys, I think, involved in these short hedge funds are in it to get theirs and get out. And the way these limited liability corporations and shell companies are all set up is that they got theirs. It's sitting offshore somewhere. And when it goes under, they're not going to find the money. It's going to be gone. So then it's going to be left to insurances, prime brokers, investment banks, and the Fed to cover all those losses. Now, will those guys get arrested for stuff? I hope so, but, the only guy who went to jail in the 08-09 financial crisis was Bernie Madoff, and that's because he stole money from rich people. Now, if these hedge funds manage to steal a bunch of money from their rich clients, you might see them go to prison then. But if the rich clients get their money back somehow or something, then they might be okay. But if you steal money from poor people, you're not going to prison. You might get a small fine. But if you steal money from rich people, then you're going to prison. Rich people, you don't mess with the rich people and get away with it. Buckeye Strike. Oh, crap. And, of course, I was just about to read that, and then it reset. There it is. Into DD. A lot of us get a notification when the stream goes live. We tune in and see advertisement in place of the intro. As a result, second intro is our only option. Deal with it. What? So I play the intro, and then it's actually doing an advertisement during the intro. That doesn't sound right at all. That sounds so wrong that I might as well do that. There you go. Are you happy? So it does a commercial. Should do the commercial like when you click on and it does a commercial and then it just kind of sits there for you. I don't know. And then start off at I don't know what's going on. Interesting. Good to know. Good to know because I don't see it from your end. I only see it from my end. So there you go. Email address says, "Hey Houston, when will we be able to watch you use that crystal growing kit that's been sitting on the shelf behind you since show number 1? Oh, man. I got that crystal growing kit. I was dating a girl so long ago, like 2012. And she always talked about how she's like, I always wanted to like do one of those like crystal growing kits. I never got one of those as a kid. So I bought that thing to like save for her birthday. And then she dumped me. And so it's been sitting there for 10 years now. She's like married and having a baby soon. And that crystal growing kit is just there. I probably should use it someday. I don't know. Yeah, it'd probably be good. I'd grow a crystal or something. Do a time lapse of crystals growing. Got a crappy GoPro I can probably plug into an electrical outlet and get that sucker to do a time lapse for weeks on end. That'd be a good idea. I like that idea. All right. Yeah. Oh, you little monkey dog. Yes. That crystal growing kid is older than you. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? But yeah. Let's use a crystal growing kit someday. Greg L. Thoughts change any on crypto now that Berkshire has made the $1 billion plunge as well as BlackRock? I get the feeling on a Ponzi, but big money is getting into the play. I think big money's always been in the play. Money goes where there's money to be made and wherever there's speculation. I do think that crypto of the future is going to be regulated and it's going to be different than what's available now. I worry also that in the future, rather than trying to pay employees with like actual money, each company is going to create some stupid crypto coin and try to convince their employees to get paid in that instead. There's something to be said about having common currency amongst everybody rather than having like 10,000 different crypto coins that are all based on various platforms. And, it's kind of silly in the end. Like, I think blockchain technology can be used for all sorts of cool stuff, but as a currency, when someone can just like mint a currency out of nothing and be like, I've got no currency now, give me billions. That stuff is going to have to rectify somehow. If you can make billions off of it because you have billions and now you can manipulate the market, because remember, 10% of the people own 99% of all the cryptocurrency. So the other 90% of crypto owners have pennies here and there, and they do not have the ability to manipulate the markets. If you're watching Saitama Coin, after their Saitama Mask wallet launch was a failure, they're up, I was up thousands. And then I was like, oh, wait, one more day and they'll sell. And then it just came crashing down. There was somebody who every 5 minutes for weeks was hammering the price down by selling $1 million at a time. Just $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. Didn't matter what the value was of the coin. They would figure out whatever the amount of $1 million was, and they would dump that in the market and depress the entire price. That type of manipulation is something that only the big whales can do, and the big whales own 99% of all the coins. So the whales will govern whatever price something is, and they will dump when they want to dump, and they'll spike the price when they want to spike the price, and the rest of us are powerless against it. So having this decentralized system is completely pointless when the same 1% still controls everything, right? So that's my big beef, is that if you're going to have this free and fair system, to make it free and fair. Don't give that weighted average to somebody who already has it all. And that's what I'm seeing out of crypto right now, is that the big plays are made by the whales. Everyone else just gets shoved one side or the other as a result. Drew, why aren't our dividend shares switched over to Oilco already? Is it because they keep doing sus illegal shit like trading a preferred dividend? I mean, that stuff right there is totally sus and I think illegal. And that was Knight and Citadel that got everything to start trading when it should have stayed in your account as is. But it's allowed me to pick up a whole bunch more than I had. I only had, my handful of MMTLP shares, and then, I was able to pick up 1,000 more or so and do well that way. Sorry, somebody's trying to message me, and is it important? It's just my brother giving me shit while I'm doing my show. Okay. All right. Ghost in transit. At what point do we draw the line between market manipulation and market regulation? I think we do it now. We do it 5 years ago. We do it 30 years ago. The regulations of the markets need to be brutal. I've talked about it before. If you break the rules, it needs to be such a painful action that you can perhaps never afford to participate in the markets ever again, or go to jail or something. It should never be considered a cost of doing business. It should be so awful that if you made $1 million screwing somebody over, you have to pay $2 million to make up for it. If you're Citadel and you delay orders for years on customers' stocks and you make billions off of it, it shouldn't be a $700,000 fine. It should be you don't get to exist anymore, and someone else takes over your market maker status because you just lost it. And there needs to be punitive damages that are just so brutal to keep people in line. Otherwise, you're not regulating squat. and you're allowing for manipulation to happen because no one's truly getting punished for it. They're just paying a toll at this point. Nicholas Alvarez, hey, what was the card you used to travel and get points with? I was using an American Express card, but you can use lots of cards that give you points and miles and things to do similar stuff. You can get an Alaska Airlines card or a Delta card or a British Airways card, whatever. Capital One, Chase Sapphire, you name it. As long as you're figuring out a way to basically make huge purchases that don't cost you anything in the end. It might cost you a few fees here and there, but like what I was doing was I would use my American Express card and buy prepaid debit cards at the grocery store. Because if you made a purchase at the grocery store, it gave you 4 times the points. So every night, buy a $500 prepaid debit card and then go to an ATM machine and deposit all that money into my checking account, pay off the card, and then do it again the next night. And so, if you could do that 5 to 7 nights a week, right, you can get 20,000 miles a week or more. Not too shabby. Not like 10, 15,000 miles a week, I should say. But, that adds up. And then American Express goes, but you only make $5,000 a month. How are you spending $30,000 a month? What is going on? We don't like it. Cancel your card. But like the guy who started the Points Guy website, he started buying $40,000 in quarters from the U.S. Mint and then just walking across the street, depositing it into his bank account, and then going back and doing it again. And he racked up millions of miles before they no more getting points from the U.S. Mint. But there's other ways you can do it. If you work for a company where major purchases are made and you've got a good credit limit, make the major purchase on your credit card, and then get paid back by the company, pay off your card. My friend who runs a brewery does that. They'll buy a $400,000 fermentation system or whatever, and he'll get all the points, and then he and his wife will go to Africa for a month on safari. So yeah, there's all sorts of ways you can kind of game the system that way. Figure out your own creative ways, and then travel for free and tell me all about it. Natsuka Hirabayashi, seen many videos saying the insurance is not true. Well, we call it insurance, but it's not like a technically insurance policy. There are insurance policies for trades. There are. Hedge funds will get those insurance policies all the time for securities and derivatives and all sorts of things. And they will pay for an insurance on such things. When we say insurance, what we're talking about is the chain of liability along the way. So if a hedge fund is in trouble, they have to liquidate their assets. That chunk of money goes to close out positions, but there's not as much assets under management as there is liability in that margin. So they pay off a chunk of it. And then it's the responsibility of the prime broker and the investment banks to pay off what they can. So they assume that responsibility. So when Archegos went under, Nomura, Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, I can't remember all the other banks that were involved. But these big investment banks had to assume their responsibility because they had given the margin to Archegos, and it cost them billions. They had to close those positions, and I think Credit Suisse still hasn't closed some of the positions. They're still out billions of dollars in liability because they can't afford to close these positions. So they're still sitting on them going, oh, shit. If MOAS happens and we go through that chain of liability and the banks are left with trillions in liabilities that they're now responsible for, the U.S. government cannot afford to have these banks go under. So the Federal Reserve, who's owned by these banks, is going to dump money into them. U.S. Treasury is going to print money like crazy, and we will basically sustain the banks by flooding them with cash. We'll bail them out. And that money is going to go to us for the closure of those liabilities. And that's the insurance system. It's not like, some actuator is writing a policy, we guarantee all these trades. No, it's the chain of liability that happens along the way. Jimmy D. Hey, Jimmy. Houston, I am likely moving to Anchorage for the summer for a grad school rotation. Any advice, recommendations? You're handsome. My dad said so. Oh, Jimmy D. I love you, man. Oh, my Alaska experiences are limited, but go to Denali for sure if you're in Anchorage. Go to Denali. Head up. Go check out some weir on a stream out in the forest and watch a bunch of grizzly bears eat salmon. Go beach mining. Get a gold pan. Find a nice sandy beach with a strip of black sand and go mine for gold in the sand. Visit some old gold mines. What else? Don't get stabbed. They really like to stab people in Alaska. The stabbings are just they like to stab so much up there. Don't get stabbed at a bar. That's my other recommendation. And do not work in a fishery because that is the stinkiest thing I've ever done in my entire life. So don't do that. I did it for one day and I was like, no, and came home. But man, enjoy it. You're going to have a lot of daylight. Go to a midnight baseball game if you can. That's always fun. They have those weird summer leagues for college and they'll play weird games like wooden bat leagues up there in the summertime. Yeah. If anyone else is in here is Alaska and has ideas, throw them into the chat. We'll see what's happening up there. But good luck. Have fun. Are you going to University of Alaska Anchorage? I take it. All right, we're 26 minutes in, and I am 26 minutes behind the chat. Ed, what are your thoughts about a FTD synthetic reset? I don't think they can do a reset without paying us a fortune. Because we bought shares thinking we're going to get shares, and when we didn't get shares, that's their problem. So if they reset and delete everything out of our accounts, then we should be able to sue everyone for everything. And I don't think they can quite do a reset. They've got to close positions. That's what they got to do. Okay. Dog Toggler. Houston, how do both fission and fusion produce big boom? Aren't they opposites? Okay. Well, without getting too deep into nuclear physics, it takes a lot of energy to stick two things together. And when you do, when you overcome that nuclear force and stick protons and neutrons together and make a heavier element, it actually releases an incredible amount of energy. So it takes a lot of energy to come in, and then it releases amount of energy as well when you overcome those forces. It's sort of like popping a zit. You just something comes out. The reaction is a big old papoom of gamma rays and neutrinos and everything else. That is sort of how energy comes out of fusion. Now, when you're ripping them apart fission-wise, and you're breaking the nuclear force and you're ripping them apart, think of it as like a bag of chips that's really hard to open and you're struggling and then the chips explode everywhere. That's the explosion from fission. So that's sort of the two ways the energy comes out of those nuclear actions. I still love, before I knew anything about nuclear physics, my first introduction to nuclear anything was Yahoo Serious's Young Einstein, when he's trying to figure out how to make bubbles in beer. And he's in the laboratory and you hear him with a chisel. It's like, tink, 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 boom. And he splits the atom with his chisel. And that movie was so ridiculous. I had no idea what any of it meant at the time. But whenever someone talks about fission and splitting an atom, I still get this image of Yahoo Serious with a chisel hammering, splitting an atom apart. And it's beautiful. Watch Young Einstein. It's a funny movie. Not enough Yahoo Serious appreciation happened after this first couple of movies. Just kind of disappeared after that. Okay. Fabrizio, we've been foiled by the glass, boys. Chuck Kuseki, Houston, can you make an NFT where your intro randomly plays and hijacks someone's cell phone screen or desktop? Someone probably can. I wouldn't be the guy who can do that. If you know someone, why not? And then they can think that they own the copyright to my intro, and they won't. They'll just own the right to have somebody's cell phone screen get taken over by it. Okay. everyone's saying the SEC investigation is going to take forever and result in peanuts. Yeah, that's my biggest fear, is that they're like, oh, we're going to get these guys, and then another administration comes in and they kind of just and takes too long and no one goes to jail. Tropical TV, hey Houston, crazy etymology. How does southwest corner Papua New Guinea's river system strait form? Looks like an ancient riverbed turned into a strait. Let's see what you're talking about here. Let's see what you're talking about. Let's go there. Google Earth. We're already on Google Earth. Fantastic. All right, let's go to Texas. Let's go to southwest Papua New Guinea. Okay. Looking here. This river system, this big delta here. Looks like a strait? What do you mean? Okay. Let's see what all right. Hey, Houston, crazy etymology. How does the southwest corner Papua New Guinea's river system strait form? Looks like an ancient riverbed turned into a strait. Talking about the strait but here between Australia and Papua New Guinea, that's because it probably had an ancient river system here. During ice ages, Papua New Guinea becomes part of Australia. This whole Timor Sea, Arafura Sea, this all becomes land during ice ages. So this becomes one chunk of continent. So you can probably, if we dive down here, let's see here. It's not very good ocean mapping in this area. But in this whole area here, it's probably ancient rivers that have appeared. Like, if we go to Monterey Bay here, so we go to California, we go here to Monterey, to Half Moon Bay where Monterey is, and the river that comes out of here is this like Sausalito River or something. There's a huge canyon that has formed, and this canyon actually formed originally when ocean levels were lower during ice ages, so this entire shelf was exposed and was land. So this canyon formed that way, and then the brackish, nutrient-rich water in the turbidity continues with the canyon. So you can get all sorts of crazy patterns that happen as a result of during ice ages that form. And there's another one off of the Delaware? No, Hudson. So another one here that forms also during ice ages. So all this becomes land and becomes the seashore, and then you get a canyon that forms when this river system from the Hudson River continues out and hits the ocean out here. So there's several of them. You can see them all kind of form the same way because all this shelf becomes land during big ice ages. So the continent gets gigantic when sea level drops. I think that's what you're asking. I hope that's what you're asking. If not, that's what I answered. So there you go. Boom. Okay. Buckeye Strike, my latest torch dividend was based on West Texas land sales in August at $65 a barrel and landed on $17 to $22 dividend. Weird jump in MMTLP today. Thoughts? It is a weird jump. I mean, it's jumped quite a bit in the last week or so. I agree. I think it's going to be in that $20 range or higher, depending upon where oil is. Remember, like any deal they're doing right now was probably getting negotiated when prices were 60% of what they are now. So it'd be my guess that they're writing something into the contract that says if the price reaches this point, we have this dynamic offering happening with the land. And that stuff's probably pretty hard to negotiate. We've seen a few big deals go through so far this quarter for pieces of land that are smaller. They're in the $1 billion range. And if this land sells for $1 billion, that's probably a $5 to $10 dividend. My guess is it would sell for more because it's larger and has a larger proven reserve. And right now, you can make $40 a barrel off of every barrel of oil that comes out of there, pure profit. So paying $1 per barrel for the leases, I don't think it's asking too much. You're still making $39 a barrel off of it at that point. So I think there's quite a few folks who would risk that and run with it. And with with Russia rattling the saber, oil prices are going to stay pretty high. They're one of the largest oil exporters in the world. And Saudi Arabia, we know, despite the fact that we just gave them like $1 billion arms deal, they still are like, well, we're not going to turn up production. Screw you guys. Things are being throttled back. If we wanted to drop oil prices, the best thing the U.S. government could do is become friends with Venezuela, finally. You want access to lots of oil? The largest oil reserves in the world are right across the Caribbean. And all we have to do is not be dicks to Venezuela, and we could have access to just piles of oil, upgrade infrastructure, those sorts of things. But I think right now we're trying to keep oil prices high or something, because we aren't doing anything that would help drop those prices. So if oil prices are high, it helps us. Just invest in a fuel efficient car or something with the money. Jakuseki, orcas love baleen whale tongues. Who doesn't? Who doesn't like themselves a baleen whale tongue now and then? Okay. Matt Simon, Houston, Boss Blunt says AMC will go higher than GME because of the options gamma. What are your thoughts on that? I don't agree. I love Boss, but I don't agree. I think that there's too much AMC out there, and I don't trust the board. You guys know that. I don't trust the board at AMC to do things that will help us during that run, and that's going to hurt the overall price. It will still squeeze. It'll still pop. It'll still be a lot of money, but GME is a different animal because of its much, much smaller float. And it also has a lot of gamma on its options chain. So I disagree there. Izig Kinwuchik. I'm pronouncing your name right at all, Izig. Sorry. When do you think this will come to an end for AMC? Well, once MOAS happens. That's when everything... Empress. Thank you, CJ Neal. Empress Hotel, not Princess. Empress Hotel in Victoria. The Empress Hotel. That's the really cool hotel right there along the waterfront. It's beautiful. Got to stay there when I was like 12 years old, and I was like, this place is so cool. Do high tea with all the fancy people and eat crumpets and stuff. Dan Summit. In honor of your show tonight, I'm going to eat a Hot Pocket. Gonna try the air fryer instead. Hey, tell us how it works out for you. I'm never going to touch one of those things ever again if I can avoid it. Adam Watkins, on Kauai, where there's no snowpack and no huge reservoirs on top of that small inland mountains, where does all the freshwater rivers come from? Well, Kauai gets 500 inches of rain a year. That's where it all comes from. Going to the islands, going to Kauai. Okay. So you have the trade winds. The trade winds come barreling down out of the 30-degree latitudes, and they sweep over this all the time. And what they do is the air hits these mountain ranges and are forced up and over. And as they go up and over, the air is forced to rise, and it cools. And when it does so, it condenses and it just dumps a bunch of rain. So the top of the mountain ranges here on Kauai, Wailele, I can never say this right. Wailele, 470 inches of rain a year is what falls there. I mean, it's socked in clouds almost all day, every day. And so just an absolute ton of rain. And all the islands have rainforests that get just pounded if they've got any serious mountains on them. And so that's why these river systems are constantly flowing. There's so much water. Here on Oahu, same thing. You've got the Pali, the big cliff line on the eastern side of the island, and that's where your rainforests are. And they get hundreds and hundreds of inches of rain every year along that Pali there, and get a second batch on the mountain range on the west side. Same thing on Molokai. Same thing on Maui. The Hana side, you get all the rain over here, over in the Big Island. Up at about 6,000 foot layer is where the big rains are, and you'll get 400 inches of rain a year in this zone. And the resulting thing is that the groundwater in the island of Hawaii can support a population of 15 million people. That's how much fresh water gets generated by that orographic lift from those trade winds blowing across and forcing those clouds to try and go up over these big mountains. And Hilo Bay in here, there's the breakwater that went along Blonde Reef, which was King Kamehameha's favorite surf break. This bay, it's part of the ocean, but all the groundwater bubbles up through here. 700 million gallons a day bubble up through Hilo Bay to the point where it's technically the largest freshwater spring in the world. So the water is really brackish. It's also really disgusting because you see all these homes and businesses and buildings in this area. No one has a sewer system. The lava rock is really hard to deal with, so they just blast out big giant cesspools and jump all their turds and shit into the holes in their backyard. And then the groundwater sweeps that out into Hilo Bay. So if you want all sorts of crazy parasites, go swimming in Hilo Bay. That water is really poopy. And you'll get all sorts of little bumps in every orifice in your body, and you'll be miserable. I had a roommate one time. The waves are coming straight from the north, and they're just pounding. And right here at the Wailuku River mouth, the waves are just beautiful, and like tubes are breaking. It's like, oh, I'm going to go surfing there. That boy, I don't know what kind of parasites he got, but he couldn't sit, he couldn't stand, he couldn't lay down because every square inch of him was covered in these crazy like parasitic hives. It was awful. And that's what he had to learn the hard way, that you don't go swimming in this water. But yeah, so so much water is generated basically by the winds that are constantly coming out of the dry 30-degree latitudes. So everywhere around the world, 30 degrees, there's some big desert. And that desert is basically the result of air rising, getting warm, rising from the equator, coming out, and then falling down those 30-degree latitudes. You get lots of high pressure here. And that high pressure comes back down to the earth and has to go somewhere. And as it spreads out and goes somewhere, it blows down and it blows across the ocean collecting moisture and then hits Hawaii and is forced up over those mountains, and then it rains a whole bunch. And that's why you don't need a snowpack in places like Hawaii to have just a constant flow from the rivers. So there you go. That's the rainiest place in the entire world, is right there on Kauai. 500 inches a year basically is what's raining right there. And in Hilo, what's that, sea level? Because of that orographic lift, you still get 150, 200 inches of rain a year. It's pretty rainy. It's warm rain, but a lot of people don't like it last because it just rains and rains and rains and rains. And if you aren't from Seattle, you get to Hilo and you're like, I'm not staying in this place. And they leave. There you go. Hope that answered your question there, Adam. Orographic lift is the term of the day. Okay. Oh yeah, people are reminding me to say, hit the like button, like and subscribe. I always forget to do that. Like and subscribe, tell your grandparents. Okay. Hot Pocket, your colon cleanse equals Hot Pocket. DEA got that dope. I think you won't be able to get all of your money at one time through FDIC insurance. It might take years to get your money back. Possibly. You're only insured to like $250K, which is why it's probably good to have multiple accounts, multiple savings account, money market, whatever. If you're going to keep cash, just have multiple accounts. So each one has its own insurance policy through your bank. And if you're going to dump more than the $250,000, talk to your private banker person about what type of other insurance you can get for your account, and see if you can be like, hey, can I pay $1 a month and have a $1 million insurance policy or whatever? Might work out best. Bex, I've become accustomed to seeing 20% short interest on stocks. What is considered normal short interest? 20% would have been squeeze territory in any other market. Now it's like, oh, we're short 20%, we need to short it more. I don't think shorting something more than a few percentage points, if we had a market that worked, would be wise. Namely because markets always go up over time. So if you're shorting, and you're shorting in huge amounts, right, you should be shorting not to see a stock go to zero, but in order to make a profit. And that, I think, is where the ideal is behind shorts. Is like, oh, this stock is at $90. I think it should be at 75. We're going to sell at 90 and we're going to buy it back at 75. We're going to get that $15 profit per share. And we're going to do millions of shares and we're going to get millions of dollars out of this. Cool. What they do now is that they short a stock, they sell it at a high price, and then they do it again and do it again and do it again, and they generate naked ones, and they dilute the entire pool, and they bring the price down through dilution, hoping to get to zero, because if they can get to zero, they don't have to pay taxes. And so when you see that 20% short interest, that's self-reported. That's not required reporting. And it's not accurate. I bet these stocks, whenever you see 20% short interest, assume it's 50 or higher. That's the way I'd see it. Because in those naked shorting are never reported. They never report anything about naked shorting. So you'll never be like, oh, how many synthetics have been generated by the stock? No one knows because they won't tell anybody. And that's, yeah. So when you see 20%, it's probably a lot higher than that. Chuck Sickie, Gabe Plotkin, the most talented investor of our era. I was just reading about how Plotkin is now selling off all of his blue chips right now. That's a sign that you're doing a great job, is when you sell off your assets under management. Yeah. Plotkin lost 40% with his fund last year and another 20% in the first month of this month. Yeah, greatest, most talented investor of our time for sure. Drew, since we will be rich post-MOAS, won't we be able to send these bad actors to prison? I like where you're going with that one. Yeah. Start lobbying. Use your money to lobby your congressman and send these guys to prison. I like it. I like it a lot. Will Mendiano, you need a buffer before starting the stream? I probably do. I probably need to have like me just going like this for 30 seconds and then hitting the the intro and go from there. Okay. Okay. Chuck Sickie, Houston is diamond handing the crystal growing crit to the grave. Sam Zen, Houston, if you were born in the year 1900, what do you think your main profession would have been? Oh, man. I think I could have struck out anyone in the major leagues consistently with the skills I had by the time I was in college. I bet I could have been a hell of a baseball player if I knew my pitching knowledge that I had in modern times and I could have it back then. Other than that, I'd probably be in the sciences, engineer, something like that. My great grandfather, my mom's side, was an engineer who worked on the Panama Canal back then, in the early 1900s. I think that kind of runs in the family. He designed a bunch of the bridges around like Bethlehem, Pennsylvania as well, and in Pittsburgh. Lots of bridges in that area were designed by my grandfather. Yeah, it's a good question. Probably would die of like a tooth infection or something, because that's just, it's my greatest unfounded fear is like finding myself Yankee and King Arthur court, just like waking up one day and I'm back in time, hundreds of years, and disgusting Middle Ages and whatnot, and just not having access to toothpaste and sweet fluoride. I'm in my 40s and I've never had a cavity. I am a fastidious cleaner of teeth, and it just grosses me out. Whenever I see like a period piece film with like Renaissance or medieval people smooching, just I can't imagine going mouth to mouth on that disgusting, toothless, rotted, festering mouth hole. Gross. So I have memorized fluoride deposits all over the world so I can become the inventor of toothpaste if that's what is needed. So, yes, if you end up going back in time, you want me on your team because I'll make sure all of you have nice teeth. There you go. That tremendous extra 5K, where do you put it? Where would you hide your 5K? Or up your butt? I don't know. No, where would I invest extra 5,000? Right now, for immediate payoff, I'd probably dump a bunch of it into MMTLP. If you can 15x 5K, nice. You know, get $50,000 out of that, $75,000 out of it. That wouldn't be too bad. I think that's going to happen sooner than later, for sure. Okay. Greg L. Only 3% of the world is invested in crypto. Yep. And the 0.3% of that controls 99% of all that crypto. There you go. Wooden Puppet, how do you think this ban on Mexican avocado imports is going to affect America's guacamole supply? Oh, man. So, those of you who don't know, the drug cartels, the Sinaloa drug cartel, and what's the other one? The starts with the Z, Zanetta? Well, anyway, they've taken over the avocado fields and they've strong-armed all the avocado growers. And so now the cartels control the avocados in Mexico. And so there's problems with bringing them in. And we love our Mexican food. That is, like, I mean, I'm not in Mexico, but Mexican food is a large portion of my diet. And I don't think the rest of the world quite understands just how delicious Mexican food is. All my European friends just don't know what they're missing out on. And my European friends who move to the United States end up eating nothing but burritos all the time. And when they go back and visit their families, they're like, I need a burrito. I can't stay in this place anymore. You have no burritos. And that's all I can think about. So yes, I think it's going to hurt us in a great way. We are going to be picking freckles on our arms in like having the shakes. Cause, we're going to need our guacamole. Yeah. Bobby Taylor, what's the deal with several Canadian banks being offline? I had not heard that. I don't know what the deal is because that's new to me. I wonder. Ronald Rose, you still believe in keeping gold? Heck yeah. Gold is stable and it goes up when the market crashes. So why wouldn't you keep it? Definitely believe in that. Oh. What is this? Tropical TV asking about... Eos. That's here. All right. So they're asking about Eos. Sudarso. Oops. Sudarso. Oh, on this side. Okay. Yeah. All right. Oh, that's what we're talking about. Okay. On the Indonesian side of Papua New Guinea. Okay. So here we go. This is what you're asking. So this is an island here, and basically this looks like a river, which it pretty much acts like. It's got a delta on both sides. There's an island like this in Washington called Hidalgo Island. It's very similar. But yeah, so in ancient times, when this becomes a big plain, when the sea level's lower because all this land ice is forming, and this becomes a giant plain, then this river system, this becomes a huge part of the delta of this river system. So yeah, so this island, while I bet this water is very brackish, but this channel here is part of the river system when it is during Ice Age times. If we go to northwest, go to Seattle, because that's another place I'm familiar with. And we go to Hidalgo Island up by up here. Okay, right there. No, it's Camino, not that one. Further north. Here we go. All right. So we have where's the bridge? There it is. I got to give myself north here so my brain can accept it. Farago Island. So you look at this place here, and you can kind of see this is Farago Island, and there's a weird little river system that kind of cuts the island off from everything else, and that is the result of the fact that during ice ages, the water is not here anymore. The shelf becomes filled in the river system that comes out of the Skagit River ends up cutting this island apart. And so then it has a channel that cuts through here, connecting these two bays. And so it's like a river, but it's only a river during ice ages. And then the rest of the time it becomes a saltwater channel. So that's why Farago Island is this little island on its own, because this weird little river system that cuts from one bay to the other. Same thing is happening on Papua New Guinea. So you can imagine that there's a river system here that cuts through from Bellingham through to the Puget Sound during ice ages, but now it's just a little channel that is there, it's salt water. So yeah, there you go. Hope that answers your question on that one. All right. Coffee, donuts, and Homer. Give the growing crystal kit to your ex as a baby shower gift. It's actually a pretty good idea. Yeah, why not? That's a good idea, because I don't know if I'll ever get to it. And then she can do something with her kid with it 20 years from now and be like, here's an ancient box to make crystals out of. It's from before history. Yeah. Aaron F., I'm way behind, watching 1.5 times speed. Will probably be live by the time you read this. Happy birthday. Any cool, unique facts about Mount St. Helens? Planning a trip there in May. Oh, dude, lots of cool stuff about Mount St. Helens. I went too far. Mount St. Helens. So, Mount St. Helens here used to be a nice cone, nice cinder cone, nice cone mountain, big pointy stratovolcano. And then there's a giant earthquake which caused a landslide, and as the magma was intruding, and it blasted outwards and destroyed some 200 square miles of land, buried Spirit Lake in like 900 feet of ash, killing Harry Truman, not that Harry Truman, the stubborn Harry Truman, who refused to leave his lodge, thinking the mountain never hurt him, and now he's buried under 900 feet of ash. And then New Spirit Lake formed. It's pretty cool. Interesting fact is the dome here that's forming. It's been forming at a pretty high pace since the 1990s especially. And they think that in the next decade or so, it actually will start peaking above the rim of the crater. And you should be able to see it from like the Portland side, which would be pretty awesome. Yeah, this volcanic dome is pretty cool. They did a good job mapping this out here, Google. I like that. So... yeah, 1980 eruption, May 18th, 1980. What other cool stuff you can talk about here? You can still see the debris damage from this 40 years ago happening. So many trees and the lahars got flooded down here and just ripped bridges apart and killed people and all sorts of stuff. Tuttle River here, and wiped out towns along the way, all the way out to was it the Clark River that it meets up with? I can't remember. All the way to the Columbia. Mount Rainier would do something similar when it goes. All the river systems just become these lahars of mud and debris and trees and rocks and all stuff flowing down in crazy speeds. And would just wipe out all the towns along the way. You can find, gemstone-wise, you can find tourmaline in the Mount St. Helens area. You can find really cool garnets and gold. There's actually quite a bit of gold to be found in the river systems around here. If you guys remember, the way gold mineralizes is through hot springs. And where you got volcanoes, you got lots of hot springs. So that gold melts out under pressure, way under the earth, where the water is like under pressure at thousands of degrees, and then gets carried up through the cracks where the hot springs form. And as it's going up, it cools off. And there's some point where the gold will solidify and stick to the wall with silica and other stuff. So you get lots of gold around these volcanoes because of all those hot springs there. Ancient and modern and otherwise. And speaking of Papua New Guinea, the alkalic volcanoes in Papua New Guinea, I can't remember the name of the volcano, but out here on the eastern side, there's a huge gold mine. And the hot springs here have something like 15 parts per million gold coming out of the hot springs, which is just like so crazy that you can actually like just dehydrate the water and get measurable amounts of gold out of the water just by dehydrating everything, just boiling it off. So I can't remember which gold mine it was. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, there's certain mountains called alkalic volcanoes that are very gold rich in their magma. From however they're transporting material through, they have a lot of gold in them. One of the largest gold strikes in U.S. history was in Montana for alkalic mountain. Okay, Mino asks, "Hi Houston, from Portland. Could you explain the difference between metamaterial and MMTLP? Which benefits when the deal with Oilco goes through? Thank you. Happy birthday." MMTLP is the metamaterial Torchlight preferred share. That's the share the Torchlight holders got when the merger happened. And that is the placeholder for the dividend. Now, under law, if they made it to January 1st without giving out a cash dividend, it has to become a share of its own. And so what they're doing is those MMTLP shares will become a company called Oilco, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Metamaterial. And Metamaterial owns, 50 million or whatever shares of MMTLP. So they will be the controlling factor of Oilco. Now, there's probably a sale lined up for the land that Torchlight controlled that is basically the major asset of the MMTLP/Oilco. And when that land gets sold, the Oilco stock will then become a preferred share stock again, and we'll get cash for it. I don't think there's any intention for Metamaterial to run an oil company. I think they want to just sell it for billions and be done with it. But it's very likely that Torchlight was shorted to the effect of 1 billion shares or more. And so a lot of those MMTLP shares are actually synthetic shares, and they aren't the real deal, which means the hedge fund that shorted that share is going to have to pay out of their pocket for whatever the value is of the dividend. So if they sell those oil fields for $4 billion and it comes out to like $20 a share, and for the 160 million shares that of MMTLP that should exist, then they're going to have to pay out of their pocket for the other 900 million synthetic shares they created. So they may be responsible for paying billions upon billions, like $20 billion in cash to cover the payment in lieu of those synthetic shares that they generated. So my guess is that Citadel and Knight forced illegally the trading of the preferred shares so that they could gobble up as many as they can now for $1.50 or whatever that they've been buying them for, to delete them from existence so they aren't responsible for paying out $20 billion in cash for when the Oilco sale is finalized. And that's largely the play. Now, because they were so short on Torchlight shares, and Torchlight, when they merged, became the 7-to-1 reverse split or whatever, became Metamaterial shares, that if they can't pay on the dividend for the Oilco sale, then they may get recalled and forced to buy Metamaterial stock. And not only that, but Metamaterial will be getting $1 billion or whatever in cash out of the sale of this oil field. And they'll be so cash heavy that the stock price will want to go up. And so they'll be forced to buy a stock at a premium while the news is really good on it from the sale of that land. So that's why I expect a squeeze to happen for the Metamaterial stock as well. And so get a bunch of cash for the MMTLP and then sell again, when Metamaterial is squeezing, when they're forced to buy it all. All right. Hey, I'm 40 minutes behind. Woo! Okay. How are you guys watching it? Such a fast speed, man. I can't do that. Okay. Adam Watkins, 3 months after I got my new American Express SkyMiles card, I purchased all my materials that I use for my business from my vendors. Enough for my wife and I to go to Hawaii and back. See? There you go. That's how you do it, man. You make giant purchases. Like if you've got the cash, like if you're going to buy a car with cash, right? You're not going to take out a loan. You're going to buy a $30,000 car with cash. You go use your American Express card, swipe, and get 30,000 or more points for it, and use that to take a trip to Europe or whatever. So yeah, that's the beauty of doing things like that. You make all your normal purchases that you'd make using your card, and then just pay it off like immediately. Like pay it off that night. Just go and pay it off, and pay it off, and pay it off. Go to the grocery store, swipe, pay it off, and get your points. That's the beauty of it. That way you don't get hit by fees or interest or anything else. Just use the cash card, pay it off immediately, and get your points. Brandon T. Houston, I agree that GMG has huge potential. However, we don't have a factory yet and thus no product in stores. How long do you feel it would take to reach huge potential? Years, decades? No, 2 years tops. They started construction on their main factory in September. I would bet that it'd be done, in a year and a half. And so by perhaps this time next year, they're producing product. They're making batteries. These technically they're supercapacitors, but they charge fast and discharge slowly. So they're like crazy super batteries. I bet by this time next year, they can start having product in phones, in cars, in whatever. And I think it's first step. They'll probably make a mega factory after that, after the proof of concept of the medium-sized factory they're building now in Australia. But I think the coolest potential is it doesn't require the mining of lithium. All it requires is aluminum and carbon. And we've got that in droves. We can use recycle. It doesn't take that much aluminum either. It's literally aluminum impurities in the graphene structure is how the electrons flow through the layers of graphene. So we don't even need that much aluminum. And I think it's really cool tech, and it's going to revolutionize electrical storage for everyone. Mining lithium is really damaging to the environment. We've done some shady stuff to get access to that lithium. Bad things are happening to people in Afghanistan for lithium. Bad things are happening to people in Bolivia for lithium. And the carbon footprint of mining lithium is gigantic. So big that, you can buy a fuel-efficient new car, and it's made with, X amount of carbon footprint to produce all the materials. And you can drive that car for 20 years before it amounts to the carbon footprint of building an electric vehicle. That's how inefficient mining lithium is. Lithium is pretty gnarly. Okay. Project Sun says to Jimmy D, work the fishing boats, make him bank, have the best life experiences. Yeah, you can work the fishing boats. It's a brutal life working the fishing boats, I can tell you that much. William Loback, stationed in Fairbanks, Alaska in the winter. The Northern Lights are incredible. Still have not seen the Northern Lights, man. Okay. Daphne, any advice for application or website you can input a destination and get weather conditions in advance for the route someone going to take? Traveling from Colorado to the Bay Area, and there are various mountain ranges I have to drive through, and there are a lot of storms off and on this coming week. Whew. I don't know. I've never had to deal with that. I never thought about a weather site for doing that, because I just kind of look it up as I'm going along. No, I don't know of a specific one, Daphne. But if someone does know, that'd be an awesome application for Google Maps for sure. Is a route weather forecast. I wonder if there is something. Let's look that up. Google Maps weather travel route. Let's see if that works. Ooh, okay, they do have something. Let's see here. Let's, okay, I got to put the Google Chrome on, which means I got to click on that. I got to tell it to go there. And I got to turn off the Google Earth. There we go. All right. So, enable weather in Google Maps using Google. Weather layer. All right. So, I'm going to turn the volume off so that I don't get some sort of penalization from someone. But there is, I'm just going to link it, throw the link into here for you, Daphne, so that you can see it for yourself. But apparently there is a weather thing in Google. I won't bore everyone with the doohickey, so we'll just go backwards, and I will go back to Big Houston. There we go. There's one. Look at that. Check that thing out. See what you got. Georgie asked before Houston MMTLP shares acquired post-merger opposed to pre-merger could possibly not receive same dividends. Your last answer was a bit obscure. More thoughts, please. The MMTLP shares, if they're legit shares, you will get a dividend. If they're not legit shares, if they're synthetics, you will get a payment in lieu, a PIL. So if they're synthetic, it is the responsibility of the person who created the synthetic to provide you with the cash equivalent of what the dividend is. So if there's only 160 million shares that are legitimate shares that should exist, and there's 1 billion synthetic shares, the 160 million shares will get a dividend from the company through their brokerage and say, hey, dividend on that. If you have one of the synthetic ones that should not exist, whoever created it is liable for that cash dividend, and they've got to reach into their pocket and pay it. So you'll get the payment in lieu of dividend from them. So that's what you'll be getting. If you have an MMTLP share and a dividend is announced, someone's got to pay you the cash. Someone has to. By law, they have to. So you're going to get cash from someone, whether it's from the dividend or from the payment in lieu. Someone is going to give you the cash for those shares. That's why they exist. Okay. Okay. Legacy 10 Productions, Houston. Do you know anything about the bank runs going on in Canada right now? What is it all about? Go Mariners, happy birthday. I know nothing about bank runs going on in Canada right now. My guess is that the truckers are probably doing something weird. Is that probably what's going on? And that a whole bunch of like Romanian and Filipino and Russian run Facebook pages are making these people do all sorts of things that hurt their country because that's what they like to do. And they're like going, you dumb idiots, I can make you do whatever I want. And I'm amazed. Where's that? I see like these little pieces of like dust float in front of the camera and dance around, and I can see them on the camera, but I can never see them in real life. But that's my guess of what's happening is that there are bad actors, websites on Facebook, basically trolling these people into doing stupid stuff. So that's my biggest guess of what's going on, without actually reading the news for it. Don, come up with a sentence with 3 verbs in a row, like whatever it is what I want. You didn't solve the pricing in one last week, so come up with a sentence with 3 verbs in a row, like whatever it is what I want. I don't know if I can. Can you, monkey? Can you run? I don't know. Don, you're gonna beat me on this one. Word games are not my cup of tea. They're not my bread and butter. I suck at word games. I'll think about that one. Whatever it is what I want. Is what I want. Whatever. Depends on what the definition of is. I lose. I give up already, right off the bat. Okay. BTW Brand says Canadian banks are seizing accounts. People don't want to keep money in place. That can do that. My thinking. Possibly. I mean, you might have some problems. Like if you have a run and roll Bank of Canada right now, you might be a good way to send that bank in the hole because of how much money they're losing on Chinese bonds at the moment. That That could totally hurt some Canadian banks if Royal Bank of Canada gets eaten up by that. Okay. The Wild and Wonderful Ape of West Virginia. Do you think GME AMC short squeeze would be a catastrophic event large enough to trigger DHS Directive 51, turning over all power to the executive branch? No. No. I think it will be cataclysmic for the markets for a period of time. Everyone will get bailed out. Some people will be rich, some people will be poor, and then things will move on the way they're supposed to move on. I don't think it'll be so cataclysmic that it will result in some sort of martial law and stormtroopers in the streets or whatever. No, it's just money. We can print. We own the printers. We can do whatever we want with it. There may be, battling more inflation as a result, or it could be so cataclysmic for a lot of folks that people get laid off and prices drop because, we become part of the 1%. Some 1% vanishes and everything's kind of back the way it was. Okay. Dan Summit, Houston, can we watch you destroy a printer with a sledgehammer to some gangster rap like Office Space? See that little Canon right behind me? We can destroy that one. That thing's been broken for a long time. I've got a much nicer laser printer up to my right here that actually works, and the ink's like $1 and can print 9 million pages like that. Yeah, we should destroy that thing. That thing's a piece of crap that's underneath my unused crystal growing kit. Greg L., the roads are littered with dead squirrels that couldn't make a decision. The best chipmunk death I ever witnessed. I was driving to my land in northern Canada, up in Timmins, and it is hours between towns, like 4 hours between towns, some of these places. And there's these chipmunks that just are running across the road all the time, just run across the road. And there's one car every hour that's going on this road. Like these chipmunks, they've got free reign, and if they happen to get hit by a car making a little run across the road, it was their time. I mean, they've had hours to go across that road, and no car comes by. And I'm driving along, and I see this chipmunk dart out with this big old nut in its mouth, and I just feel like the slight of the tire, and I look in the rearview mirror, and the chipmunk is totally flat, but its little nut rolled across and made it to the other side of the road. And that was the best chipmunk death other than when my friend Eric brained a chipmunk with a rock and we ate it. That was a good read. Have I shared that one with you? Biosphere Geologic. One of our trips to Colorado where we were out exploring. Oh, come on. Just, ugh. Eric. Come on, you stupid. There you go. There we go. You read about when my friend Eric brained a chipmunk. Oops. Ah, dang it. I keep hitting the wrong thing. Go. There we go. Copy. That's what I want to do. You read about Eric brains a chipmunk. Put that in the chat. We were camping in Colorado. We were mining poop. Basically, I had to dig through 150 years of cow shit to get diamonds. And one day at lunch, we're sitting around campfire, making food or whatever, and this chipmunk kept breaking into the truck and eating the dog's food. My buddy Dave's dog, his dog Mud, who was a wonderful chocolate lab, absolute talker, could sing, would sing along in tune with songs. It was amazing. But chipmunk kept stealing the dog's food, and so my friend Eric, the one I was visiting in Switzerland recently, he's like, Eric, if I managed to kill this chipmunk with a rock, he says, Dave, if I managed to kill this chipmunk with a rock, would you clean it? And Dave's like, totally, thinking Eric would never get the chipmunk. And Eric winds up and just totally hits this thing right dead in the head from like 50 feet away and kills the chipmunk. And he's like, all right, clean it. And Dave's like, I'm not touching that thing. And so then Eric had to learn how to like, we used a box cutter, and he cleaned the chipmunk and took all the giblets and took the hide off and was curing the hide. And then we took all the meat and we stuck it into a Ziploc bag with like salad dressing and some seasoning, and we cured it for a while. And then we grilled it, and it was amazing. We all got like little dime-sized pieces of meat because they're so tiny. But man, it was really good. So anyway, you can read all about it when Eric brained a chipmunk. We kept calling it a squirrel. He kept calling it a squirrel because he's from Hawaii and they've never actually seen a chipmunk or a squirrel. But we didn't get hantavirus, which was great. And but we ate, like 8 of us shared this tiny little chipmunk that we grilled on the fire. It was really good. Okay. Okay. Persia Sun says, in sad news, droughts are killing off baobab population in Madagascar, Senegal, and South Africa. Yep, baobabs are really cool trees. They're total Dr. Seuss trees, and changing weather patterns is definitely killing off a whole bunch of them. And, deforestation, like the savanna is growing and being desertified because they're killing off all the shrubbery, which is limiting the amount of moisture in the air and causing larger droughts in the long run. Yeah. Okay. BW brand all caught up, normal speed, drunk Houston time. Sorry, I can't speak at 2.2 speed at all times. I don't know. My sister listens to all our podcasts at like super rapid speeds, and I can't do that. My brain does not like it at all. Okay. Andrea Fisher, when is MMTLP supposed to change to Oil Co? Sometime this quarter. So my guess is probably this month or next month. That's when it's supposed to become Oil Co. Griffin DePaul, do you believe there's synthetics for both AMC and GME? Oh, hell yeah. There's billions of synthetics for both. Absolute billions of them. So many synthetics. It's all synthetics. Synthetics are the illegal naked short selling that has caused this whole mess in the first place. So yeah. All right. Adam Watkins, you're welcome for the info on Kauai there. There's so many cool rivers there. One of the coolest places I ever went was, I don't remember the name of the river, but there's this little river on sort of the southeast side of the island that's these waterfalls come off these little cliffs, and there's rope swings like everywhere and like all these vines you can climb, and I had such a great time there. It was really fun. You just swinging on rope swings and falling into the water and having just a blast. I love jumping off stuff. Peter Udoka, I'm not sure if you spoke on SPY and why they keep holding it up and kicking the can. It is surprisingly high still. So SPY should be just eating it. And my guess is that, everyone's got puts. Everyone's got just boatloads of puts on all the blue chips and probably on the SPY as well, is that they're waiting for the announcement of interest rate hikes. And that's when everyone's going to short the heck out of everything, or just before that, they're going to short it all. And that's, that's what we're waiting for. Oh, crap. Of course, it just reset again because I scrolled too far and I just reset. Where'd it go? Someone was asking something about... okay, there's all the dead squirrel talk. Baobab trees. Where was it? Was it from? I think it was from Greg. Here's Peter Doka's question. Okay. Da-da-da. Georgie, why would the Oil Co. property be so valuable if the largest sea of oil on this side of the planet has been discovered? 300 south of the Permian Basin, and we now have technology to get it out because oil prices are so high. So the test wells that were dug by Torchlight basically showed that the oil is profitable at $57 a barrel. So they can suck oil out of the ground as long as the oil prices are higher than $57 a barrel, they're making profit. Right now, oil's trying to push to $100 a barrel. Where are we right now? Like 90 something. Oil prices per barrel. We are at 92, 94. WTI crude, Bonnie Light crude at 96. So yeah, we're pushing $100 a barrel, which means every barrel of oil you can suck out of the ground in the Oregonde, in those university lands, you're going to be making $40. And the test wells mentioned that there's like 4 billion barrels in those 250,000 acres, wherever they have. And that's why, oil's oil. If you can get it out of the ground at a profit, you're going to want to do that. And Torchlight was dying because they're being shorted like crazy. And when COVID hit and the shutdown happened, people weren't traveling, the oil prices plummeted. And so it made that land extremely unvaluable. And they had a lot of debt, and they're going to have to fold up shop. They're going to get delisted by the NASDAQ. So Metamaterials came in and was like, hey, can we use you as a SPAC and get listed on the NASDAQ? Let's merge. And so they did this merger agreement thinking that they'd sell off all the assets and then they'd get like $1 a share as a preferred share dividend. It'd be like $1 a share for the Torchlight folks. And then oil rebounded and the price went through the roof. And so all of a sudden this land that they were negotiating sales for was worth way more than what they thought they were going to get for it. And now with oil pushing $100 a barrel, you're probably looking at billions is what the land is worth. So that's why we're looking at a pretty healthy dividend as a result. Oh, you kicked off your blanket, you little booger. Yeah, oh, I know. Yeah. Oh, you're such a smooth, soft dog. Yes, you are. Okay. Yeah. All right. Greg L., did you see the movie when we were kids in school with the lemmings running over the cliff in Mass? That's how I feel being in AMC sometimes. That was the other Disney film, which they got everyone thinking that lemmings would commit suicide, and then it was all just a weird thing. It's not true at all. Lemmings don't do that, apparently. I don't know. But it's now stuck in lore, and for 1,000 years, people will talk about lemmings going over a cliff because of that Disney film. Berger son, you seem like you could be a Wes Anderson fan. What's your least favorite Wes Anderson film? I don't think there's any I don't like. I haven't seen a couple of them. I didn't see was it Moonrise Kingdom? I haven't seen that one. And I haven't seen Fantastic Mr. Fox. But I love Steve Zissou. Life Aquatic. I love that movie. I think it's such a goofy movie. And I really like his first one, Bottle Rocket. I thought it was just a genius little film. It's different as other movies because it doesn't use like the weird sets. It's all filmed like on location and in a motel and whatnot. But I think it's pretty clever. I like that movie. Least favorite? I don't know if I have a least favorite. I've liked all the ones I've seen. What's the train one? One with the train. That one's, I could take or leave that one. All of his movies have some sort of weird father issue thing in them. But, you write what you know, I guess. Although, The Royal Tenenbaums has been a great litmus test for me over the years. And when that movie came out on DVD or video or whatever, my sister was stationed in Charleston, South Carolina, and I went to go visit her. It was like 2002. And we went to go to the Blockbuster or whatever, and we're looking at the movies, and I'm like, oh, I heard good things about this. And we go to the little counter, And the dude's like, I'm not renting this to you. This movie's fucking stupid. It's the dumbest movie I've ever seen in my life. I will not rent it to you. I'm like, I don't care what you think, you meathead. I want to rent this movie. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. I refuse to rent that movie to anybody. So I took the movie. I went over to the lady at the next check stand. She rented it to me. Whatever. We watched it. We loved it. We thought it was funny. When I returned it the other day, I just tossed it to him like, you're a fucking idiot. And to this day, if I meet somebody that I really don't hit it off with and I just don't like them, I always ask them, like, what do you think about Royal Tenenbaums? 100% of the time, they're like, I hate that movie. Like, huh. It's a pretty good litmus test so far. Seabound 117, shorting is more profitable than being long. Our market is busted. Yep. That's proof. Markets go up. You should not count on them always eviscerating some company. Crawdaddy Dulles, add a 0 to whatever Ortex says. Yeah, it's probably good. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Yeah. Aaron Salentine, how can you short a stock 140%? The media be like, okay, cool, report it. No one does anything. Well, you can do it because the regulators don't do shit. You know, you are BlackRock. You lend 1 million shares to somebody. They sell them. BlackRock buys them back, lends them again. They sell them. BlackRock buys them back, lends them again. So the same shares can get lended over and over and over and over again. On top of that, you've got all the nakeds. You've got the market makers that are selling naked to anyone and everyone to keep liquidity moving through the market. And that's not counted for anything. So the legit shorting can happen over and over and over again. And the reporting is all voluntary. And then the unlegit, the illegitimate shorting can happen forever. And no one knows. No one can see into those books, man. Happens over and over and over. Julian, I think you'd be a gold prospector. I might become a gold. I like being a gold prospector with modern conveniences. I like having a truck and like fancy equipment and satellites and all that stuff. I don't think I'd enjoy like walking in the desert with a burro, carrying all my belongings, and then like, I don't know, getting a cut and having a gangrenous leg or something. That's just not for me. I like the luxury of modern prospecting. Although, if I could maintain my brain information, I could make all sorts of crazy gold strikes because I know where all the gold is. If I was 1900, I'd be like, it's 1905. We need to get to Timmins, Ontario right now. Let's do the Porcupine Gold Strike before anyone else gets it in 1906. And then be billionaires. You guys are so weird. The best thing about me getting up to speed on chat is when you guys just post weird stuff. I don't know how to respond to, so I just keep scrolling. BTB brand, they threatened a USDA food inspector. That's why imports of avocado stopped. Yeah, it kind of hurts their business. Like, if you're going to threaten the USDA inspector who guarantees your avocados are going to have a market, then you just ruined your market. And I mean, smuggling black market avocados in the country, I guess if you can smuggle cocaine, you can smuggle avocados in. But can you do it in the same volumes? That's the question. Bootleg avocados. LAP27, do you need to try Peruvian food? I've had a little bit of Peruvian food. I have a friend, Izzy, who's from Peru, and he made me a meal once that was pretty darn tasty. Some sort of chicken thing. It's delicious. It was like these baked chickens, and it was really good. I don't know what the hell it's called. But I will gladly eat some Peruvian food when I get the chance. And Rulnick, do you think that the possible lift of Iranian oil sanctions will affect the MMTLP oil co-dividend? I think it's still months or years away from lifting oil sanctions on that. And by then, the sale will have gone through. GR Galicia. Houston, is there a possibility that brokerages will delay or not accept DRS shares during MOAS? No. They'll accept them because they need them. The problem, I think, will be in how fast you can sell them. Because for the most part, they'll be able to close their positions by buying up and deleting synthetics. So if it is a very slow process for you to sell your shares through computer share, then you may miss out at pertinent times to sell shares, and it may blow past you. So if the infinity pool for like GameStop is less than 50 million shares being held, then you may miss the boat. If it's much greater than 50 million shares, then you still have a chance probably to sell for a lot of money with computer share. But the brokerages, they'll accept them. They'll accept any sales that come through because they need them. They need shares. Javier, the cartel's name is Zeta. Thank you. I knew it started with a Z and I couldn't remember. Thank you. That's what I use you guys for. I have like a cloud of information that I'm trying to remember the name of something, and then you guys actually give me the name. And I appreciate that's what I appreciate about you. Okay. Subway sandwiches. Okay, got to that one. Got to that one. Got to that one. Okay. I'll try to catch up. Sorry if I'm not getting your questions right away. I'm always behind. Because you guys can pump in questions faster than I can answer anything, and I always got to be long-winded and tell a story. So it's 8:37 over here. So I'm about 39 minutes behind in the chat. I'm trying to catch up. But a lot of the questions are repeats, so I'm scrolling through quite fast at the moment. BW Brand talking about the time lapse of videos of the St. Helens Dome growing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. In 2000, oh heck, I was in Hawaii when St. Helens had its last big eruption. So when was that? 04? 05? 06? Somewhere in there. But the dome grew incredibly fast after that eruption, and then kind of slowed down a little bit. But it grew like 1,000 feet in months. And if they're like, holy crap, it's going to be like 10,000 feet tall soon. But then it kind of slowed down in its growth. Miss Christy Maurice, Mount St. Helens, right in my backyard. I can see it from my house. Right on. Where are you? Are you like in Tuttle or somewhere near there? The drive out to Mount St. Helens is pretty cool, going up to the river. There's some cool little lodges and stuff along the way. Brian apparently asking a lot of questions. But then they're all deleted, so I don't know what they are. So I'm sorry. MMTLP, a squeeze play or a long-term play? How could it go? I think the squeeze is going to be metamaterials. The MMTLP is going to just turn to cash eventually when they sell the oil fields. So that's how I see it. I don't imagine that the MMTLP preferred dividend shares will sell for more than the cash you can get for them. Because why wouldn't you just do the PIL in that case? More talk about Hot Pockets. Dale Ray, shots fired in Ukraine. What? I'm 40 minutes behind. News. Russia has 7,000 troops. Russian claim troop withdrawal false. I don't see anything about shots. Nothing popping up here about shots. So, false alarm, apparently. Just more stuff about buildups. Okay. I don't see anything about shots. It's unusual whales tweet. All right, I can't confirm it with Google News. So, the most recent thing is 34 minutes ago. Trust to warn Putin of prize status. PM says a little evidence of Russia disengaging. That's 34 minutes ago. 31 minutes ago, Russia deployed 7,000 more troops. I don't see anything about shots. No shots fired as far as I can tell. But I might be. Google News might not be updating. But I think that if that was the case, they'd have something within. That was 8:09 p.m. and those were about 8:09 p.m. when they published. So. Arun Murali, in your last podcast, you talked about how geographically India merged with Asia ages ago. Was its own continent before that? Yes, it was the Indian subcontinent. So, if we go to the Google Earth, we Google Earth it. So, after Gondwanaland, Gondwanaland was basically when Africa, Madagascar, India, Australia, New Zealand, Antarctica, and South America were all attached. We're all one continent. And when they split apart in weird ways. So basically, Australia and New Zealand motored off really quickly. India and Madagascar broke off of Africa, and India kept trucking. So Madagascar here is continental. It's lots of granite. Africa's continental, lots of granite. And the Seychelles are really weird. They're this little micro island continent-ish type place, and they're made of granite, which is very weird for an ocean island chain. Makes the rocks look really cool, actually. They're really cool looking rocks that are in the oceans in the Seychelles. And these are probably pieces that were broken off of India as India broke away. The volcanic trail of the Maldives, here were also remnants of India breaking off. And about 42 million years ago, India slammed into Asia, creating the Himalayas. And you can see, like, the way it's hit Asia, it sort of dented and put a big old bend in the Himalayas here, like north of Burma into South China. And so this whole Tibetan plateau was once ancient continental shelf, like ocean shelf, and India smacked into it, and they just built this big giant mountain range. India slammed into Asia, and it's still slamming into Asia. It's still still has momentum, and it's carrying its way into Asia. So the mountains are still getting taller and taller each year. But it twisted the entire Indian subcontinent. The entire Asian continent, and basically twisted the Pacific plate as well. And so if you look at Hawaii, the line of Hawaii, there's a point right here. That is 42 million years ago. That is when India slammed into Asia and bent the entire Pacific plate. So the island chain of Hawaii used to be going one direction and got bent and turned the other way. And now it's diving into the Kamchatka Peninsula as that whole plate turned, and the hotspot volcanoes started coming off this conveyor belt of the Pacific plate at a different angle. So lots of things got twisted and turned when India slammed into Asia, creating this big old, it's like slow motion. It's like watching 1,000,000 frames per second of a bullet going through like ballistic jelly or something. It's like blah. And all of these twists and ripples and mountains that form Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tibet, Bhutan, Kashmir, Nepal, all the way through China and Burma, are all remnants of this really slow motion bullet of India slapping into Asia and creating these mountain ranges. And you still get tons of earthquakes along here because India hasn't slowed down. It's still got a lot of momentum behind it and will for millions more years. And then we'll get to a point and it'll stop, and then it might bounce back and retreat and split apart again, which is what happened with the Atlantic Ocean. Is that North America, South America, Europe, and Africa slapped together and created Pangaea, the supercontinent Pangaea. And so the mountain range of the Appalachian Mountains in the eastern United States and the Atlas Mountains of North Africa, of Morocco, are the same mountain range. They met at the exact same time. They got the same fossils, the same age. And when those two continents that hit together and formed Pangea, they themselves were like 30,000 foot tall mountains, just like the Himalayas are now. And the mountain ranges here that are in Greenland are the same mountain ranges that are in Norway, and these mountain ranges were 30,000 feet tall at one time. They're big ancient mountain ranges that then, after they smacked into each other and they came to a rest, the spreading ridge formed and they broke apart. So we've got a couple of places in the world where spreading ridges are pulling things apart, and the main one is here, the Great Rift Zone, basically from the Dead Sea down through the Red Sea into Eastern Africa, where the Great Rift Valley is, and the continent's trying to split itself apart. So you'll get another subcontinent like Madagascar eventually breaking off of Africa. That will be sort of the Horn of Africa breaking off into their own little subcontinent. And the ocean will fill in this whole valley, and you'll have a new ocean there. New sea. There you go. Okay. All right. Yeah, I still don't see any news on any shots happening in Ukraine yet, so I wonder if that's just a false, premature tweet there. Patrick Trempain, Houston, haven't stopped by in a while. What are your thoughts on DRS? Hope you're well. I don't think DRS is going to change anything. I don't. I think it's a very hope-filled task, and if it works, fantastic. But I'm not going to bother DRSing because the floats have been locked up before, and naked shorting is what it's all about. So they can naked short all day long, and DRSing won't change that. So that's how they're hammering us down, is that they're naked shorting that way. WOPR, what kind of music do you listen to, and what are your favorite bands? I always imagine your books behind you as being vinyl records, turntable behind you right over your shoulder. I like metal. I like surf beat. I like really thug gangster rap. I like kind of pulsing electronic music. Of late, I've been listening to a lot of Ladytron. I love Ladytron. They're good. Man, what else would I listen to, Monkey? I do like a lot of hair metal. If you guys haven't watched Peacemaker yet on HBO, just got a fantastic collection of hair metal in the soundtrack of that show. It is really it's awesome. a lot of loud swearing in that music, and I love it. Yeah, that's probably my main listens. I love kind of heavy soul funk, like the modern kind, like the band The Heavy itself. I love The Heavy. They're fantastic. A3, kind of, what would A3 be? It'd be like a gospel, techno gospel? I don't know what they call themselves. I'm asking Monkey because she might be able to help me, but she offers nothing. She just raises her eyebrow, and that's about it. Alabama 3, as they're in Europe, they're called A3 in the US because they didn't want to get sued by the band Alabama. But you know that part. Yeah, she knew that part. She's like, I know. Yeah. All right. It's 8:48 over here, so I got 12 minutes left for the evening. Shayna Miles, Houston, being the forever student that you are, have you ever taken any of Gensler's free online courses? I have not. I didn't know he had free online courses. I don't know. I have a hard time sticking with courses if I'm not paying for them. If they're free, I'm like, I'll get to it, and I just never do it because I always know it's going to be there, and I don't end up doing that. So there's something about that. Yeah. Squamps. Oh, shit. Squamps asked me a question, and then, of course, the whole thing just reset. There it is. Squamps asks, tectonic plates shifting, large land mammal migrations, what other things can affect the rotation spin of the Earth? Well, tectonic plates are the big one. The earthquake in Indonesia in '04 slowed down the Earth's rotation by like 1/10,000th of a second or something. Tidal the tidal action of the moon and the oceans changes the rotation speed of the Earth over time. I'm sure if we got hit by a large object, that would affect rotation speed of the Earth. There you go. Email address, brush your teeth and lower your standards. Angelo Terrones, thoughts on Ukraine drinking motors into Russia happening now? I don't know what you're asking there. I'm sorry. We have to reword that one. Tyler Jones, how long do you think humanity has left without drastic change? 75 years? That's, yeah. Oh, Diaz, it says Ukraine fired 4 mortars. Oh, goodness. What's happening? Let's see if there's... Oh, mortars, not motors, mortars. Ah, not drinking, firing mortars into Russia. Okay. Man, still nothing's popping up on here. Mortars. Ukraine rebels accuse government forces of mortar attack. Russian-backed rebels in eastern Ukraine accused Kiev government forces Thursday of using mortars to attack. Oh, this is firing into eastern Ukraine, which has been in dispute. So this is just part of the civil war that's going on there. Yeah. Okay. It's the Russians. The Ukraine rebels are actually just Russian soldiers that have been in Ukraine the entire time since 2014. So, yeah. Ukraine fires mortars on separatist territory in breach of ceasefire, says Russia-backed rebels. All right. I mean, that might be false flag enough for Russia to be like, oh, we got to invade now. We'll see. We'll see what happens with there. Okay. Mortars, not motors. Mortars. Okay. Sorry, Angela. Mortars. Okay. Is monkey butt brown or gray? Yeah, she's a little more gray in the monkey butt cam and a little more brown in the other cam. It's kind of in between. It's like she's got both. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, it looks way more brown in my main cam and way more gray in the other cam. Interesting. That's what you get when I got myself the fancy camera and I got you the cheap camera, monkey. Because I'm bigger and fancier and you are smaller and tinier. Therefore, you get the cheap camera. But they're both HDMI and they both seem, or HD cameras. They seem to be doing a pretty good job. Much better than my old camera, which was this. This is the one I was using that everyone complained about and they hated. This is my cheap Chinese. It says it was 4K. I seriously doubt it. A little camcorder. I had to buy this in an emergency just so I could record my classes when COVID hit. I was like, I need something. And this was like $30. So that's what I bought. And I figured, it's got a little boom mic on it. It'll work great. I bought a big screen TV for cheap. It was like a refurbished one. And I set it up in the garage so I could actually put my PowerPoints on there. And then my students can like see me do my normal class. So I've got like a little classroom I built in the garage. And then I'd set that camera up. And it was great. But it was terrible for doing a regular YouTube podcast because half the stuff people were like, your camera sucks, you suck, quit sucking. So I finally had to like spend some money on some technology. Ted Tremendous, Darjeeling Limited, that was the name of that the train one. that Wes Anderson did. Not my favorite. I'm okay with it, but it was like daddy issues overload on that one for me, though. Okay. I'm only 25 minutes behind the chat, so here we go. Here we go. Polly V, can you explain deleting synthetics? Deleting synthetics is basically the action of buying the synthetic that you owe on. So if you sell a share that doesn't exist, the broker generates a synthetic and puts it into an account. And it's basically an IOU. Like, you need to replace this share with a real share someday. But that person who has that synthetic share has no idea they have a synthetic share. They don't. They don't realize they have a fake share. And so they can trade that share like any real share. They can do a limit order. They can sell it to market, whatever. So if you happen to buy the synthetic share that you owe on, you can just take that thing and delete it from existence. Poof! Like it never happened. It's gone. And so a lot of the buying that I think will happen during MOAS is going to be just deleting synthetics from existence. These trading computers have to close positions, and they've got to just buy everything. So if they get a fake share of most synthetic shares, they can go, oh, gone, done, it's erased. They get a real share, they can take that real share and replace one of the synthetics and delete it from existence that way. So that's what deleting synthetics means. Okay. Jonathan K, post MOAS, you can do space tourism, like Space Hotel, go to the moon. Yeah, why not, man? Got the funds and go to the moon. Go to the moon. I would never want to live there. That'd be awful. But I'll go, high five someone, get my picture taken, stare at the Earth, and get the overview effect, and then join the overview society, and yeah, talk with a bunch of nerds who also did it. Okay, Johnny G, Diamond Hands, howdy Houston, so glad I finally got to catch a live show. Appreciate your YouTube channel. Thank you, Johnny G. The not having a set time allows me to like have all sorts of different folks jump in and join whenever they can. Sometimes I do it in the evening, sometimes I do it in the early afternoon. It's great. And then, I'll do late night stuff. Like I did a Twitch stream last night at, I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So some night owls and some early Euros where we'll jump in and hang out while I played GeoGuessr. Yeah. Enric M.E. Houston, can you comment on Gmerica versus OpenSea speculation? Right now, Gmerica is going to win because you can mint an NFT or whatever for like $2. Whereas OpenSea will cost you like $40 to mint, another $100 to post it for sale. It's going to be a lot more expensive for OpenSea. So if Gmerica, if you can make stuff in Gmerica a lot cheaper, it's going to dominate OpenSea. OpenSea is going to have to change how they operate because they don't operate on layer 2 of the Ethereum network that Loopring created. They operate on just straight Ethereum network, and the Ethereum network is expensive. Gas fees are stupid. You want to do a trade? Yeah, $70 in gas fees for you to like buy or sell anything, and that's not sustainable. Ethereum really needs to get 2.0 out to lessen those gas fees. Otherwise, people just aren't going to trade things if they cost so much money to do it. The only way you can trade Ethereum cheaply right now is in accounts that don't have a wallet, like Robinhood or whatever, where Robinhood has an amass of Ethereum, and when you buy Ethereum, you're just buying the rights to the stuff they have in their wallet. And so you aren't paying the gas fees. There's like, oh yeah, you totally have like 5 Ethereum right now. But it's not yours. It's not a wallet. You can't send it to anyone. So Ethereum really needs to get 2.0 up. I've been talking about 8 months now that Ethereum needs 2.0 really bad. They're going to get crushed. There are some other platforms coming out. There's one coming out, this huge like South African Romanian venture that should be premiering next month that apparently is going to just clobber anything that Ethereum uses. It's so much better and cheaper and efficient. I can't remember the name of it. This guy John I know is working on it, and I wish I could remember the name. You'll see it in the news soon. There's like a Romanian South African joint venture making this whole new platform that's similar to Ethereum but better. And I'm going to have to ask John what the name is because I can't remember. Saved my life. He promised he's going to like buy me a hot chocolate and tell me all about it. And, okay, we'll get talk. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know next time I see him what the name of it is. Poly V, what's the most cost-effective way to mint an NFT art piece? Probably on the Gmerica platform and Loopring. I mean, it's easy. OpenSea makes it really easy. You upload your picture and you go, I want to mint, and it says, okay, put some Ethereum in your wallet and it mints it. It'll cost you $30 or $40. And then you say, I want to sell it. And they're like, well, I'll put a lot more Ethereum in your wallet and then we'll let you sell it. That's a stupid system. You should be able to sell it without having to post Ethereum to sell it. They should just be able to take it out of the sales price or attach it as a buyer's premium or something. Yeah. Yeah, Reuters news 5 minutes ago, Ukraine rebels accuse government forces of mortar attacks. Accuse is the key word there, because those the Ukrainian rebels have been shown to be repeatedly Russian soldiers. And we were saying, hey, they're going to do a false flag attack at some point. This is what U.S. intelligence was saying. Like, hey, false flag. Accusing the Ukraine of breaking the ceasefire is definitely a false flag event, if any, that comes to mind. Okay. Is crypto dumping again, Diaz? I mean, the problem with crypto market being traded 24 hours a day is that it can dump at any time. Get to the crypto. Yep, looks like it's going down. Zcash down 3%. Bitcoin down 1.5%. Doge down 2%. Ethereum down 3%. Litecoin down 3.5%. All right. Well, looks like things are getting interesting for our Thursday and Friday. Maybe my VIX calls might do some good tomorrow. That would be handy dandy. Come on, VIX. Sam Zen, can we forward project what the continents would look like in another XX million years? Sort of. So, like, we got the big spreading ridge in the Atlantic pushing everything apart. And what's happening is that the infinitely large Pacific Ocean, because remember there was a supercontinent, the Pacific Ocean was like 2/3 of the entire planet. And the Atlantic Ocean's spreading open, and the Pacific Ocean is going to close. So eventually, North America and Asia and Australia and South America are going to slam into each other and make another supercontinent. But until then, we're looking at probably 500-600 million years before the Pacific Ocean closes and those two continents smack into each other. But yeah, we can kind of have a vague idea of what it might look like when that happens. I always described it like the continents moving around. It's kind of like ice cubes floating in a bathtub. They're going to bonk into each other, and they're going to bonk into each other, and they're going to bonk into each other. So basically, these supercontinents go supercontinent, bunch of different continents, supercontinent, bunch of different continents, supercontinent, and it takes 800 million to 1 billion years between supercontinents for these things to fully form that way. Jeremy, do you own any gold miners? Gold mines, you mean? I have claims on several gold mines. Most of my mines, my mining claims are gemstones, but I have, in the North Cascades, I've got several gold claims up by Winthrop and Twisp. And I use them mostly, like, in the summertime. I take friends out and I teach them how to gold mine. I don't really have them for like making a profit. They're just kind of there so we can go camping, and I can teach them to gold mine and metal detect and whatnot. And then my family has land that my great grandfather, Charles M. Lenover, he was an officer in the British Army when the Fenian raids happened after the Civil War, and all these Irish former Union soldiers tried invading Canada and carving out an Irish Republic, and he helped fight them off for Queen and country. And King Edward VII, years later, deeded him 160 acres in the middle of nowhere, northern Ontario, and he died a few months before the Porcupine Gold Strike, which was the largest gold strike in human history happened basically 5 miles south of his land. And none of my family did anything with that land except like pay the $1 a year in taxes. And I've been trying to figure out a way to turn it into a giant gold, copper, and silver mine. But yeah, who knows if I'll ever be able to get that done. Too many long lost cousins and trying to get everybody on board, and I don't know. Someday it may happen or it may not. I don't know. But I've got that up there. It's literally like halfway behind, but between the largest gold strike in human history and the largest copper mine in the Western Hemisphere. It's like smack dab between them on this big fault line that should be really mineralized. And I just need the $500,000 it's going to cost to drill some test holes and prove to the big investment banks that there's something there. Silhouette, I'm still in disbelief as to how our magnetic field was created. Well, inside the Earth is a bunch of goo, and that goo is metallic, and it's fluid, and the Earth is spinning. And so that fluid is kind of tumbling around, and as it does so, it's a bunch of ionized particles because it's so hot, and so these electrons are freely flowing, and you have a moving charge, you create a magnetic field. And so the Earth flying around space, spinning around, is creating a giant magnetic field, and that's how our magnetic field forms. Okay. All right. I am pretty much peaked by the end of the day here. Ryan Schmidt, Houston, do you think AMC or GME might squeeze similar to Tesla? Really enjoy your show and perspective. Also live in Kitsap County. All right. West Sound. I don't know. I mean, if they're squeezing similar to Tesla, the price should be like $1,000 a share. Like, the price should be absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Like, what is Tesla's yearly sales right now? So Tesla is doing $22 billion in sales a year. Oh, 2020, $31 billion. Okay. So that's about 4 times what GME is selling for. So if you'd say that if GME were to squeeze similar to Tesla, then GME's market cap should be what? 500 billion? What is Tesla market cap right now? Tesla market cap. Tesla market cap's $1 billion. So okay, so 250 billion should be the market cap of GME right now if it were squeezing similar to Tesla. So, which isn't out of the realm for if there are billions of synthetic shares. That's probably around what the market cap is, but the observed market cap of the actual float, I mean, it should be in the billions upon billions of dollars. The market cap for GME is way too small, and they almost shorted it down to the point where the market cap was below their yearly revenue, which is just stupid. That's where it was in 2020. You know, they're making $5-6 billion a year in sales, and you could buy the entire company for $200 million. Doesn't make any sense. That's why we're squeezing, man. That's why we're squeezing. Okay. All right. Monkey Butt is super tired today. I'm super tired. I've been destroying blackberries all day, and I am so sore. I've got a huge piece of property here, and there's just so many blackberries. I didn't do anything I should have done with them last year, and I'm paying for it now. But I've cleared out most of the evil ones, and I am covered in holes all over my body that are very itchy at the moment. But she spent all day like murdering things and investigating the forest and chasing deer and doing whatever she does as a dog. So yeah. Okay. That's it for us, folks. we'll do a Friday afternoon show. Next week is our charity show. We're raising money for the Humane Society because that's where we got Monkey Butt on Tuesday the 22nd. So be ready for that. Hope we get some delicious green between now and then so we can raise a bunch of money for the Humane Society. And the Save the Children Fund for last month, they actually contacted me on Twitter and said, thank you so much for your charity show for Tonga relief. And they're sending me a Save the Children hoodie as a thank you. They're the first charity we've done this for that's actually like acknowledged our existence. And I asked them, like, how come you're the only ones? And they said that YouTube never notifies them of a charity show. It just doesn't tell them. So that they have to search, like, Save the Children on YouTube to find anyone that's done a charity show for them. So that's how they found me. So I'm going to talk to YouTube, see if I can contact someone and be like, hey, can you, like, let the charities know that we're doing this stuff for them and help advertise it when we do it? Maybe we'll bring in more viewers and raise more money for them. And it's nice to just, like, it's nice to, get a thank you from someone you raise a bunch of money for. Like, one of the charities we raise money for does great work for a bunch of little kids that are in trouble. And we raised like 2% of their entire yearly budget with our one show in just a couple of hours. So, you guys have done a great job. And the Charity Tuesdays are just fantastic. So let's keep it up. Let's raise some money for some puppy dogs and kitty cats and whatever other weird animals that they managed to rescue and help. And we'll do that on Tuesday. But I'll see you guys Friday. I may do a Twitch stream late tomorrow night. I'll see if I have the energy to do it after I do some more blackberry clearing. But we'll see ya. Right, Monkey? Right, Monkey Butt. Yeah. Okay, that's a sign. All right, guys, have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.